Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 17 of Season 1 2024 of Endurance for Amateurs. Tonight is our first ever official weather-enabled race. I don't know if any rain's actually going to come down, but technically weather-enabled here at Barcelona, Catalunya. And this race is brought to you by Ninja Botanicals and AlienAwards.net. Coming up is a 90-minute race with GTD and GTP class cars. Last week in the GTPs saw a dramatic last lap, last corner collision between then leader Nick Paletti and eventual winner Nick Terrell after Paul Skip's two-stop strategy didn't work despite leading 23 laps at Spa. Paletti did finish in second after a rescinded time penalty from an off-track not served, and Jay Smart took the last podium spot. Skip still leads the overall championship, but now just on countback. Nick Terrell and Paul Skip are tied at 617 points with a total win tiebreaker going Paul's way. Nick Paletti is just behind 3 points back. GTDA saw Ken Huber on pole for A-Class, but not overall. A crash with the B-Class drivers around him took him out of the running. Despite starting midfield, Sheldon Rosenbaum charged through the whole field and won the overall race for a maiden win. Jeff McDonald and Ken Huber grabbed podiums, the second for McDonald on the season. Huber leads at 678 points and 146 points back. Tyler Langenberg has a pretty solid hold on second, 30 points ahead of Josh Doty. One of the tightest battles currently in the class is 4 points between Travis Bell and Christopher Craig for 7th. GTDB saw an overall pole position for James Foreman just 1 week after another B-Class driver got an overall pole with Jack Lucas. Foreman scrapped the entire race with Rosenbaum, Huber, and Nathan Westland, but Westland triumphed the B-Class for win number 4, finishing in second overall. Foreman finished behind with Jack Lucas on for a 9th podium. James Foreman moves back to second overall in the standings and first for B, 33 points ahead of Jack Lucas, who only has a single point on Jesse Coffey for that second place spot. I'm joined in the booth by Aaron Claybaugh tonight. Aaron, this is a tough driver challenge track where the drivers need to be ready for slow, medium, and fast corners. As far as lap time with that fast last corner taking you to a really long straight, does really anything matter beyond high-speed performance here?
Well, I think especially in the GT3s here tonight, I think obviously you got to keep your speed up because we're running with the high downforce setups, and any mistake is going to put you at risk. And there's a lot of high-speed corners here, and then some really tight ones. So excited to see what that does. But I think the GTPs, I think we're going to have a barn burner tonight. I think all the guys are going to be very close, and it's going to be very competitive. And surprisingly, we don't have Nick Terrell here yet.
Yeah, he was going to be late. May still see him at least register for the race before this qualifying is over. Fingers crossed that we do get to see that full competition there. And as you mentioned to me before the broadcast started, I've been incorrect in stating that we had 4 drop weeks. We have we have 5, so we still have 1 more to go. 1 more will be added after this race, so that is still to be calculated. So after tonight, we'll really get a good idea of what the running order is as Paul Skip takes the provisional pole spot for GTP.
It looks like we might have just a tiny little band of rain actually over the track right now. Looking at the radar, I see a little band, and it looks like there might just be a tiny bit making that track maybe just a little bit slippery for these guys in qualifying.
I don't know if I was just seeing something. I feel like I'm seeing raindrops. I'm seeing raindrops down here. This is on the west side of the circuit, and there's definitely raindrops coming down. That first lap may have been the important lap for drivers who were able to get it in. Ken Huber's on first for GTD, not a rare sight to see, but Paletti's got Paul Skip by half a second.
Yeah, and I think the cream's going to rise to the top here, especially with the guys who are a little bit more comfortable, that have probably run some of the endurance and official series with rain. I think you're going to see those guys excel a little bit more who have that more rain experience here. But funny enough, I mean, 0% chance of rain on the iRacing forecast, but we're getting some on the track here. So never say never.
Yeah, definitely not enough to be worrying these guys to be needing to do wet tires or anything like that, but enough to be affecting qualifying lap times especially heavily. And depending on the timing of when these drivers were able to get out, if they got out as soon as they possibly could, and I don't even know if this is the kind of wetness that'll last, if maybe it passes in just a minute or so. But yeah, I definitely see it on the screen there. Nick Terrell has registered, so we do have all 3 of our championship contenders now in this race. We'll see if he's able to get a time in, though.
Yeah, just looking at times comparatively to practice, we're seeing about a half a second drop off in GT3s, and about 3/4 tenths in GTPs off of their best lap. So it does seem to maybe be impacting them just a tiny bit out there.
Yeah, smart there, putting the fastest lap so far for qualifying, 400ths ahead of Nicholas Paletti. He was the fastest in practice. Right at the very end, pipped Paul Skip's time that he had. Ken Huber, meanwhile, led the GTD section by about a whole second. And look at that onboard there. You can really see the rain. That is more than I mean, it's still sprinkling, but I mean, that's going to have a big effect in some of these corners. Like you can see right there, a double steer in Seat and the difficulty keeping the car stuck.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any more improvements. If you look on the outside of that car, in certain parts of the track, there's actually a trail behind Jay here. So it's not looking like the track's getting any better for these guys.
Paul Skip's got a couple purples, though, despite the conditions. Wow. Don't know what he's doing with this car, but right now 2 purples could be putting him on pole if he really nails this final sector. It's one of the tougher parts because it's so high speed. Is the rain going to affect that as he swings around through Europe car and now going to be hitting New Holland? See how he does into the final turn.
That's confidence right there, and that was full send, and he made it work through there. That's going to be an excellent lap for him.
Triple purples to move 4 tenths ahead of Jay Smart's time despite the conditions. Fantastic potential pole position lap for Paul Skip there. So we're waiting to see. Paletti does improve to second. He actually grabs that second place spot from Jay Smart there, 3 tenths back now. So time is still to be found despite how it's looking out there. But look at, you can see that spray coming off the tires, especially in the corners on the west side of the track there for Skip's car.
Yeah, and it looks like Sheldon Rosenbaum's on a personal best lap here. So these guys are still getting time out of this track here, which is really surprising to me because it's not letting up.
Yeah, Rosenbaum was the winner of the last race, as previously mentioned. Didn't qualify super high. Was able to charge through the field really early on. So probably hoping to do a little bit better in qualifying here to give himself less of an effort at least. Right now, 9th place, right about midway. Now moves up to 6th, so a good improvement for him.
Yeah, and a strong lap for Jeff McDonald to put it up there in 4th. So some really good times coming out from these guys here.
Yeah, McDonald has seemed to be on really good form lately. Of course, got that second podium of the season. First podium of the season came at Fuji, I believe, which is a track he's especially good at and has had a lot of good history at. But nailing that Spa performance last week around and looking to get on the podium again as he's the second A-class driver. Again, Terry Calgary Jr. there as the legend in second, just a couple tenths off of Ken, is not to be scored for points. So he can still be out here racing, but ignore him for the point standings. The Westland would finish with second place points if these were the race conditions, for example.
Yes, and Westland really showed up last week. Had an amazing run, contended for the win with Sheldon. Fortunately, lost it there in the final few laps. Just didn't quite have the pace, but he has really stepped it up as this season has gone on.
Yeah, Westland has, like I said, 4 wins on the season, which matches the GTDA lead for most or GTB's, lead with Jack Lucas. Both drivers 4 wins. James Foreman, again, leader of the class by a good amount. Only 3 wins on the season, just showing that consistency. Will that 5th drop week potentially affect his standings a little bit more than the other drivers in a negative way? We'll see. Nick Terrell just completed his outlap. He does not have the time to complete a lap here. He's going to be, even if he nails it here, he's going to be 8 or 9 seconds short. So we'll get an idea through these first couple sectors, the pace that he has in the car, but we're not going to be able to, unfortunately, that's going to be 3 weeks in a row now that he's going to start without a qual time.
Well, we saw, last week, he bounced back, so it might be a little more difficult with the unknown weather here because, we obviously weren't even sure if it was going to rain at all. So I feel like tonight's just going to be a really big wild card. And interestingly enough, with about 2 minutes remaining, I know we are down to less than a minute now, but most of the drivers pulled it in after their 3rd lap. So not many drivers going for that 4th lap, probably because of the deteriorating conditions.
It's also going to be interesting with that accelerated time,
yes.
The warm-up period. Will that potentially just eliminate all the rain by the start of this race? We'll have to see. We definitely see plenty of spray in the braking zones here and a couple of the turning points. But I'm interested to see if the start of this race is going to have any rain. The no passing opportunity, he does not have time to finish. The no passing opportunity for this race is going to be through Renault, that long right-hander. After that point into Repsol, any moves will be allowed to be made. But that is it. Nick Terrell was the last guy on track, so As we conclude this qualifying session, we will be back in just a few minutes during this warm-up period, and we'll get a good idea of what our weather is going to be looking like for the start of this race. All right, we are back, and here's our official grid for today's race.
Yeah, so starting on pole, we got Paul Skip, the point leader, followed by Nicholas Paletti trying to redeem and get a better finish this week. Jay Smart starting third, Paul Boyle fourth. Fifth is Nick Terrell, who got in a little late. And sixth is Ryan Jeevan. Good to see him back.
For the GTD class, Ken Huber is going to start on pole for pole number 11 on the season, followed by Terry Calgary Jr.'s legend unscored car. And Nathan Westland there with his fourth pole position on the season, matching James Foreman and Jack Lucas. Following them, Jeff McDonald and, wrong button there. There we go. Jack Lucas, Sheldon Rosenbaum, Travis Bell, Jesse Coffey, Mauricio Parada, and James Foreman rounding out the top 10. And behind them, Zach Nurnberger, Tyler Langenberg, Greg Holland, Todd Schneider, Travis Rowe, and Sean Adkins. And your name there. We'll ignore that. All right. So again, no passing through turn 3. It was definitely wet during the warm-up period. Drivers sliding around throughout the entire session. We'll see. It does look still maybe like it's a little bit wet in a couple spots, but looks decently dry. Should be handleable, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like it's reporting as mostly dry, so not 100% dry. So there might still be a couple wet spots. I know that there's certain corners that like to pull water here, so those guys will just have to be on the lookout for that as they go into those corners.
Nick Terrell is in the pits right now. May have to start from the pits in this race if he's even. I mean, we saw him in quals. Jesse Coffey in the pits too. So an interesting couple developments there because Terrell started the pits. He's going to be behind the entire GTD field, and he's going to have to really lose a lot of time trying to make his way back up to these guys. But as we see Skip rounding the final corner of New Holland, he's going to be waiting for that green. Again, won't have to worry about a pass through Elf and then Renault, but after that, all moves are on the board.
You got Jay already sizing up Paletti, ready to go.
He wants to get a jump on there. Slow reaction for Nick Paletti, nothing that Jay Smart can do as they head down into the first turn of Elf. They're going to be taking it a little bit more careful here, especially these GTPs scared of a little bit of water. Of course, right now it seems to be dry enough. I'm not seeing any of that trail behind the tires, so that gap from after that warm-up period seems to have dried up the track for the start of this race. Skip more confident than the others right now with a good lead on the rest of the field. Few corners in, and moves are now open to be made.
Oh, we got an incident. It looks like Ryan Jeevan.
Ryan Jeevan right there on the exit of Renault.
Got to be careful rejoining. That's such a quick part. And there goes Nick Terrell. Woo, that was close.
See what happened to him here. He swings around the outside and just lost it. Just maybe a little bit of wetness coming into play there, as it looked like it's just difficult to keep control of that car.
Yeah, and going out that far is already, I mean, from when I was testing in the BMW, I know it's a GT3, but there was no grip out there, so that does not surprise me. Paletti's struggling a little. Jay Smart has a run here. And there is some trail from the cars. The track is still wet over here.
Yeah, there's parts over here on the eastern side of the track. Down into Lacaisha, Jay Smart trying an inside move. Paletti's going to hang it around the outside. He's going to have the inside of the next corner into Bonk Sabadell. Can Jay Smart get his car across? He can, I think. Wow. Still got the car inside.
Close. He gets it. He got the traction off.
Yeah, and then Paletti has to move back behind that corner. There's really no way to go too wide through Europe car there. And he's going to move back. Jack Lucas has lost a couple spots.
In GT3s there side by side, and Terrell's in between them. This is getting tight.
Terrell just splitting Westland and Jeff McDonald as McDonald moves to third place ahead of Nathan Westland.
And that was very Nathan Westland off.
Right here, this is the move. This is what happened to Nathan Westland. Just slightly wide and a huge collision with that curb, taking his car into the barriers. Can he get that car going again? Are we going to see him the rest of this race? That was a dramatic move, but one that I'm not surprised to see from that big sausage curb there that you really have to be careful to avoid.
He had a really hard time getting it out of the sand there. He just now got into the pit lane, so that sand was obviously quite waterlogged for him.
Yeah, again, that's probably something that the drivers haven't experienced during practice because they don't go too wide a lot during practice, so going out to that curb and avoiding it, but when you have to go too wide through racing conditions, you got to know to avoid that. It unfortunately seemed to have taken him out early here in this race. Zach Nurnberger right now up a couple spots, as well as the guys around him too. Tyler Langenberg, James Foreman, Travis Rose up 4 a couple spots back. But look how close all these guys are to Jack Lucas, who currently is leading the B-class field after that Westland incident. Nurnberger moves ahead. Is he going to be going up through Verth, and he's got the lead. He's got the lead of B class, 7th place overall, but first in B class. What a move! James Foreman already has made the move on Lucas. Lucas now behind Langenberg as well.
Yeah, so interesting note here. Ryan Jeeman and Jack Lucas are both on wet tires, and I think those wet tires are biting him now. He just does not have the speed that these other guys have.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, maybe drivers expecting the track to be a little wetter than it was.
And the thing is, Jack, unfortunately, he kind of has to get it into his fuel window. He's going to have to go at least 30, 35 minutes, and with the track drying, he is just not in a good place right now.
Yeah, I just don't think he can afford to even take it that long, given the pace differential. I think we're going to see him come in now. Yeah, we do. So unfortunate. Was a bold strategy to take, but qualifying well and now having to lose a lot of spots. Still some spray. Like you said, you're seeing it on the straight there, but it's just not enough wetness to mean that those wet tires need to be on the car.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate him taking the risk, though. He's P2 in the championship, has to do something different than James Foreman, so why not take a risk and try it?
Yeah, it's, of course, a little scary given how close he is with Jesse Coffey. And Coffey right now is back in 13th as well. Coffey's lost 5 spots. So both drivers not really having a great start to this race. May end up being drop weeks for both of them regardless.
Oh, that was close between Langenberg and James Foreman there. Wow, they are racing close.
Yeah, tough move to try to make that happen. Not often you can make a move in the Repsol. Good defense for James Foreman to stay ahead.
And our two leaders, close battles. I mean, Jay Smart is within half a second of Paul now, and Terry Calger has closed up to the back of Ken Huber. So 2 really tight battles for the overall leads right now.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention as far as the scrapping that happened last race, Terry Calger Jr. involved in that as well. A lot of the early race battling before he himself had an incident in Blanchimont, and he was keeping pace with Ken Huber and the rest of the guys up there at the top, despite being a little bit rusty. So we're seeing that as well here today. Not a lot of drivers on the season have been able to keep up with Huber early in the race, let alone late.
Absolutely. Yeah, Huber, typically, wow, I cannot talk. Typically, after that first pit stop, he just pulls such a gap in the strategy of how he saves fuel, and then he's gone. No one can touch him the rest of the race.
That was a little scary there. Jay Smart doing everything he could to avoid Jack Lucas, but that line that he took nearly got him a little squirrely on that curb there. That inside curb seemed to unsettle the car just a little bit, but got away with it.
Jesse Coffey on the inside of Sean going down into turn 1 here. We'll see if he can complete the pass. Started from the pits and trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah, good point. I forgot that was Coffey starting from the pits is the reason why he struggled so much as far as losing positions. He started from the absolute back, but has now made his way past Sean Atkins. Not a big resistance there in that pass, but a driver that's plenty fast. Still got to fight from behind. It looks like he's not going to be a move made at that point. Langenberg did make his way past James Foreman, now trying to get up to Zach Nurnberger for the 7th overall spot. See how that move was done. This is Langenberg into turn 1. This is going to be probably the most popular passing opportunity, given how long that straight is. It can be easy to make a move done. Like it looked pretty textbook there for him.
Yeah, he made that look very easy. Audi looks really strong on the brakes right now.
Yeah, and I think I'm sorry, Sean Atkins, we just saw him on screen there. The only 2 drivers in the Audi today. A little bit of a black sheep car on the season, one that did have some usage at the start, given that it was the new shiny toy, but a lot of drivers not finding a lot of success with it, finding it difficult to drive. But Langenberg has been one of the guys that's gone to it now and again throughout the season and has certainly found plenty of success, given his 2nd place in the standings.
I think unfortunately the BOP really hit that car hard and has kind of leveled out. Wow, that's wide there. That's going to be a off track for sure.
At the very least, just dangerous to do, but surviving that move. And it's closed up, actually. Zach Nurnberger now starting to lead a bit of a train. He's got 3 seconds to Mauricio Prada ahead, but Langenberg, Foreman, Rowe all within really just a few tenths of each other. Rowe trying to make something. Didn't have a gap into Renault, but wanted to make something happen.
Yeah, and the top 5 have broken away in GTD. In fact, Travis Bell set the fastest lap last lap at 43.5. So he's really pushing those guys along in front of him. And I think we're going to get a 3-car battle between McDonald, Rosenbaum, and Bell here in a little bit.
He's close to breaking that 1 second mark, and as I speak it, he did for 1 split second to Rosenbaum again. Rosenbaum already up a couple spots from where he qualified, and qualified higher than he did last week. So I'd be very interested to see how the rest of this race goes. Terry Kiger Jr. Oh, Zach Nuremberger off.
Zachary Nuremberger.
And Verth does not crash, but loses, looks like 4 spots there in a dramatic incident. Let's see. Didn't technically go off track, but see if we can get an idea of what happened here. Just deep. Just too fast.
Oh, wow. That looked like maybe even just... I know the track's not really that wet anymore, but that almost looked like the grip level played a role in that. And we got side-by-side battle right now between Travis Rowe and James Foreman here.
Oh, made their way side-by-side through Kaisha, and then again the inside. Is it going to be the victor here through Bonk Sabadell, through Europe Car? It's got to get sorted out now, and it does. Rowe's going to stick behind, maybe try to make a move down the straight.
And Nuremberger's going to have a run now, too. So this is setting up to be really interesting going down into 1.
Still close in that GTP field between the top two. 0.4 seconds separating Paul Skip and Jay Smart. But it doesn't seem like Smart's been trying to do anything to make an aggressive pass. Rowe is super close. He's going to try it on the brakes.
Here he
Into his
goes.
elf. Can he get it done? Strong on the brakes on the inside. Still resistance from Foreman on the inside now. Back to the inside.
Wow.
And he's got the move done.
Strong move.
Oh, and then Zach Nuremberger is going to try to take advantage. Foreman cannot slip back. And he's going to have to...
the B-class lead.
He's going to have to go around the outside of Renault here. No, he maybe has it. That was a tough... Ooh, and maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. He does. Maybe not. Now they're going to be heading into Sayat 2x2.
They're going to go 3 wide here. Oh, this is not good. Jay Smart. Oh, that was really close.
Oh, and through the inside, Jay Smart makes it. So everybody surviving. Oh, and a collision right as I say it. Right as I say it. Damaged front bumper for Nuremberger there. Possibly some wheel damage as well as Foreman is spun around. He's back going. He may actually have less damage than Nuremberger does.
Exactly, yeah.
Just lost more time.
Greg Holland is the leader of B-Class now. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Strong showing from Greg.
Up 4 spots from where he qualified. And Nuremberger potentially having to pit means that he has a good second to Jesse Coffey. Jesse Coffey may actually... Coffey is battling with the Nuremberger back there. He had the lead. Now trying to switch back. Can't make it happen. But Coffey may be able to start from the pits and make his way up to a potential B-class lead early in this race, 10 minutes in.
It looked horrible from the start. He looked like he was going to have the worst race of the top 3, and now he's looking like he's having the best.
Mauricio Parada with an incident here. Let's see what happened to him here. Up through Verth, just like Nuremberger.
Oh.
Interesting correction there. Overcorrected and had to get back on the track. A lot of time spent on the grass there, so time lost in that section.
Were we able to take another look at the incident where Jay and Paul caught up to those GT3 guys? Because there was a couple pieces of contact even before the spin.
Yeah, may have been. May be able to find it here. I was a little bit behind that. But we see that collision there between Nuremberger and Foreman. I think tough to tell what really happened there. I think Foreman moved left a little bit, but a bit of a racing incident if you asked me. So Nuremberger not pitting yet, so the damage at least enough for him to just kind of stick it out. But these GT3s, given the pit strategy is usually a one-stopper, it really means that there's not a lot of leeway that you have with damage. You got to take it almost to the halfway point if you've got some damage on that car.
Yeah. It seems like Zach's though settled down a little bit. I mean, it seems like the tires are, maybe they were just overheated a little because he's not losing much time to those guys in front of him. Although I'll tell you, Jesse Coffey is all over the back of Greg Holland for that B lead right now.
Yeah, Sean Adkins trying to claim the spot from Nuremberger. Just given how exposed that wheel is, I just have a hard time not imagining some sort of camber or toe damage to that tire. It's enough. It's not bad enough that he's being forced in at the very least, but yeah, he's struggling to keep Sean Adkins behind at this point. Through the final corner of New Holland, pretty good run for Adkins. Is he gonna get anything from this draft? Doesn't look it. It's about 2/10. Probably too far back to make anything happen into turn one, and it is. On the braking, a little bit closer. Still close in that GTP field where they are back through the field again. They're heading up through into Campsa at the top of the hill. Paul Boyle maybe just had an incident. Looks like he was off. Yeah, that you can see actually the tracks back there, I think, as he went a little bit wide there in Sayat, losing some time. But he's 5 seconds back from Nick Paletti right now. Paletti a bit in no man's land. 5 seconds behind, 7 seconds ahead in that third place spot. But third place in the championship, he really needs to claim as many championship points as he can to try to catch up in this small field where there's just not a lot of variation between the position points. So safety points are going to be a big effect. Looked like a little wide again for Zach Nurnberger. He's fighting off Sean Atkins again. Jesse Coffey makes the move. He's got the move. Out wide is Greg Holland. Slipping in behind.
Just crossed Sean Atkins over there. I thought there was going to be some contact. Just to put a button up on that GTP update, it looks like none of those top three have any incidents yet. So they're keeping their races very clean.
Yeah, Holland just slowing down to avoid going off track there and gives Jesse Coffey the easy pass to make his way from initially starting in the pits to now first in the B class. And what a striation we've got here. All 8 top spots are all the A-class drivers. And Holland is wide, extra wide, gets it back on track, shockingly enough.
That was a good recovery, because if you go off in that last corner, especially with it being a little wet still, that could get a little ugly.
This race is so far turning out to be a bit of an opposite of Hockenheim, where every A-class driver essentially crashed out of the race and finished at the very back. Meanwhile, today, all the A-class drivers really showing out in these initially starting mixed conditions and occupying the top 8 spots for this 16-car field.
Yeah, and it looks like Terry Calgar Jr. has kind of fallen off the back of Ken Huber now and drifting a little bit back to McDonald and Rosenbaum here, and even Travis Bell. So, we got, what is that, Todd Schneider off there. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Todd Schneider, I imagine similar to the incidents that we've seen through the rest
he's crapping.
Wrong one here. Let's grab this. Oh no! Actually, I just nailed that curb, and then unfortunately, I mean Ryan Jeevan, no fault there. I obviously didn't expect the driver to have an incident, and unfortunate for what was already going to be a bad corner for Todd Schneider to get pushed into the wall. Atkins and Nurnberger are side by side through Lakaisha, and out wide is Sean Atkins. Can't keep it on the track. He's going to lose a lot of time. Foreman maybe going to pounce here. He's around the outside. He's going to have to back out of that one. Slips back in.
This bleed class is providing all the action right now. Nothing really going on in A, but B, man, is a whole nother story.
And Mauricio Parada, he had an incident here. He lost about 4 or 5 seconds off track. Take a look at that replay really fast. This is again through Verth, and that's exactly where it's basically exactly the same incident he had just a couple laps ago.
There's something with that Lamborghini, it looks like, through there. It seems a little bit more car specific, maybe. I noticed that was happening to Ken, not to that degree, but happening to Ken a little bit in practice.
Yeah, the only 2 drivers in the field running the Lamborghini are Ken and Mauricio Parada here, so we don't have a lot of data points, but looking difficult up through that section. I mean, it's a difficult section of the track, just regardless, for sure. Into Verth, there's not a really good braking marker to really pick from, but it's a lot of instinct to really pick when you're going to stop there, and it's going to change throughout the race. And look at how bright it is. Definitely plenty dry now, and not seeing even a hint of spray in any of these corners.
Yeah, it's heating up too. We're up to a warmer track now, so that's gonna, I think, provide challenge for these drivers. Going from a 65-degree track to an 82-degree Fahrenheit track is gonna be a challenge.
Parada trying to get back up to that eighth place spot that he had. Jesse Coffey able to grab the spot after that incident from him that we saw through Verth in the previous lap. Looks like Parada has the pace right now, but again, you got to have more than just pace. You got to be able to get the move done in a passing opportunity, a passing zone. We'll see if he's able to do that. The best spot isn't a turn 1, although I think that the BMW has generally had a pretty good handle on. Oh, that was a little scary there. Generally had a pretty good handle on top speed may be able to defend a little bit better into the first corner than some of these other cars.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed driving last week behind Ken in the Lamborghini, and I was in the BMW. I was definitely gaining on him in the straights and able to have a little bit more top end. So I think that BMW is one of the stronger top end cars right now, but maybe not the best for braking.
Yeah, and that's the two factors to that move being made there. It's getting the good top speed down the straight and really nailing the braking zone. But turn one, plenty ripe for a passing opportunity, especially given the way that it kind of snakes back and forth. So if you can get your car alongside, you can definitely make something happen and defend it as well. It is a well-designed corner for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like, I think you're right. Zach Nuremberger's doing a great job holding Sean off here, but his lap times have dramatically dropped gone up. Since his incident.
And there it is. Sean Atkins losing. Just that came out of nowhere, in maybe not the typical type of incident we've seen from the Audi on the season, which has normally been in slower speed corners, but that just stepped out on him as soon as he turned in.
Those two corners right there have been the worst for everyone here tonight, it seems like, in the GT3s.
Yeah, Verth, difficult corner. He also has some damage to the front of that car. I don't know what that came from. It's not a lot, but it was enough to scuff up the paint there. So curious to know what incident that was involved in. Maybe tapped Zach Nuremberger at some point. I know they got pretty close.
So what it was, I've noticed it on his car from there was actually, it looks like there was contact coming to the line. Looking back through the replay,
oh, wow.
There was just some major checkups. So that will have to be reviewed by the stewards after the race. And we got Jay Smart all over Paul Skip here. This is getting it. Oh, he might get it done here.
He's around the outside. It's difficult. You got to be good amount ahead. He's going to have to give Skip room on the inside. Oh, and clipping that curb is not going to help Paul Skip's pace. It was just enough to get Jay Smart and those ahead. And now through Renault, he has to slot behind and falling back through that dirty air into a Repsol. I think this is going to be a comfortable move to first for Smart. And that right there was the last hope.
Yeah, Paul Skip, I mean, he's hanging through him, although that Acura does look a little bit stronger in traffic right now.
And through Sayat, my least favorite corner on the circuit. Very understeery, difficult. We've seen those track marks in the sand from a couple drivers going out wide there already. But Skip staying close. But he is now fallen back to second. Again, leading the championship. Jay Smart himself being in front is not the biggest disaster. But losing those first place points, that's the bigger deal for Skip in this championship in a season right now where he's currently tied to the point with Nick Terrell and just able to count back, which by the way, Nick Terrell too, he's having to start from the pits. He's 12 seconds back from Paletti in third. He's a long ways off from that podium. Still a lot to happen and strategy to still play out as well.
Here we go. Skip's got to run. He got a really bad exit there because of one of those GT3s, and here comes Skip on Smart.
Oh, he's going to have a good run here. Jay Smart had a bad entry, and that was enough to compromise. Skip's going to get back ahead. Hoping Todd Schneider stays out of the way. Both move to the inside. Skip back to the lead.
He might have the run here. He had to take Skip had to take a little bit of a shallow entry there. We'll see.
I think the dirty air is just too much to overcome there through Renault to make a lot happen into that braking zone for Repsol. Nothing doing there, but Smart clearly has the pace to keep alongside. I don't think it was just the traffic that allowed him to catch up to Skip. They have been tied to each other this entire race, putting in very similar laps. Best time only separated by 700ths right now, a 129.78 for Skip and a 129.85 for Jay Smart.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, is whoever the leader is, and this seems to keep happening every time they catch a driver at a bad spot, the leader's at a huge disadvantage, and I think that's what keeps swapping them around. So we'll see what happens when they get to these guys running up front here.
Rosenbaum, maybe a bit of a mistake in the braking zone for Lakaisha, got really close to McDonald, now falling back to 7 or 8 tenths as he recovers back to the racing line.
Oh, almost contact between Bell and both the GTPs. That was very close.
Just off screen there, missed it unfortunately. Oh, and Skip making a daring move.
Oh no!
Daring move that is going to hurt his momentum again. This is a replay of last lap.
So I don't know. He still got a run, but not as big of one as he would have had.
He's going to go in there on the outside. Defensive line for Skip. Skip very confident in where he wants to put his car and able to actually hold that spot. It really seemed like it was just going to be a replay of the last couple laps, but he stays ahead for this lap at least.
These guys are putting on quite the show. Every time they catch up to one of these GT3s, it tightens them up. So they come up on Terry Calger here now, who's running in second.
Yeah, Calgary right now has not really lost any more time than when we last mentioned it to Ken Huber. He's 2.5 seconds back from Ken, and just lost a few tenths there from those GTPs heading their way through. So interesting to see that it's kind of leveled out, but he hasn't caught up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think Terry's just getting more and more comfortable as he gets more and more seat time in here. Getting used to that Porsche again.
Yeah, and of course, last time he was in the Porsche, a very different car to what it is now. It's not been a ultra popular pick. Him, James Foreman, Greg Holland, that's the extent. Really no car is dominating the field as far as representation or even pace, as there's a good mix of cars throughout the entire field. BMWs and Audis, Ferraris, Porsches. We've even got Jack Lucas in the Mercedes back there, although with that pit stop he had to make, he's still suffering back in 14th.
Yeah, we're a long way now from when it used to be Porsche for amateurs. So good to see a wide, diverse field out there and see that, guys can drive kind of whatever they want, which is nice.
Yeah, each car definitely has their own quirks and strengths and weaknesses. It seems like across a lap, really given any track, most of the cars can compete with each other. But when you come to maybe specific corners or specific straights, some cars have an advantage or disadvantage, and we see that play out. The high downforce setups in these cars does eliminate a little bit of that drafting, I think, that already was pretty neutered to a certain degree. But Foreman was really close to trying to make a move there into Lakaisha, was just a couple tenths back, but loses through that last sector. Can he get this move done on Nürburgring? They're currently both sitting in podium spots for B-Class.
Yeah. I mean, Nürburgring's doing a great job. I think he's just as soon as that pit window opened, I think he's coming in. I think he'll get that damage fixed. And he honestly seemed to have very good pace before that contact. So I'll be curious to see if he can get back up there. Looks like he's about 7 seconds down from Coffee now. So see if he can go rough Coffee back up or not. But Coffee, man, what a drive from him. Coming from the pits, leading the B class, and slowly closing the gap to Travis Rowe.
Yeah, obviously able to take advantage of some early incidents that we've seen. We saw Nathan Westland crash with the sausage curb into the wall. We saw Jack Lucas start on wets, which just was not the right strategy call. And then James Foreman and Zach Nürburgring getting into it in that previous corner back there. Oh, and Jesse Coffees, we may have spoken too soon, is rejoining the track. Does look like his car is okay. He's going to get passed by both of these guys. What happened here? Let's keep an eye. Jesse Coffee coming off track. It's Todd Schneider.
Oh,
and a double collision, too.
Tough to see if Todd maybe was trying to get out of the way and just the closing rate was too much there or what.
Oh, this was actually the previous lap, for Todd Schneider. This was the incident that we're looking at. Yeah, it's just too fast to really tell what was going on there. Maybe didn't see Coffee coming, but Coffee able to escape big damage is going to take some safety points for that for sure. I imagine that was enough to even get him a 4X on that count. I guess you can check that. But
yep, it was.
Yeah, that is going to hurt him in the standings. Again, so close with him and Jack Lucas. And Lucas is sticking in here in this race.
Yeah, Jack actually also has 5 incidents. They both are at 5 right now. So equal on that. Now, James Foreman, he's the real interesting one. Normally, James is pretty good at getting 0-1 incidents. He's at 6. So
we saw 4.
All to play for right now.
We saw 4 with the incident between him and Nürburgring, so we knew he at least had that, but not a good running total so far early in this race. And Rosenbaum also, again, catching up to McDonald. He's been close to McDonald a couple times.
Well, Mauricio Parada outside of Zachary Nürburgring. He's just got so much more speed right now because of Zach's damage, and man, that was a bold move. He's going to try the crossback on him.
Yeah, Nürburgring needs to not lose time here. This position is not as important as losing that spot to James Foreman, as a little bit of dirt kicked up enough to get that windshield wiper going for Parada. He's so close there through Verth.
All over him. Yeah, I mean, I know Zach's a racer and doesn't want to give it up, but that position is not that important right now.
Yeah, not a spot that you can really find your way around another car, even lapping traffic, trying to go up that hill there. I don't think we've seen a single GTP driver. Oh, and James Foreman avoiding the back and trying to stay out of the grass. Jesse Coffey may be able to get him here.
Yeah, and this is all bringing Greg Holland back into this, too. He's got it down to less than 2 seconds. I know Greg was off there for a little bit, but closing the gap back up to these guys. As we see a move between, well, I guess Langenberg got the job done on no, Travis Rowe was already behind Langenberg. I don't know why that was popping up there.
Travis Bell is something happened with
Travis,
him. He's being counted as out. I don't know if that's actually accurate. He's losing spots. It could just be a connection thing. Sometimes we've seen that and it comes back. Sometimes it means that he's just out of the race without an incident.
His quality dropped really low, and also Paul Boyle's out. I don't know what happened to Paul, but Paul is out of this race.
Yeah, we can see here, this is when Langenberg technically passed Travis Bell, and obviously we don't see it at all because Bell not existing on the screen. Hopefully able to get back in.
Yeah, that's a shame. He was running P5, and yeah, his car just disappears in the middle of the straight, so that's what happened to Travis.
This was the last incident for Paul Boyle before he towed to the pits. I don't know if this incident got him some damage or not. It did.
Yeah, that was a retirement after that. Real unfortunate. And there goes Travis. He is officially dropped out due to packet loss now.
Yeah, that is brutal. Nathan Westland is in the pit lane.
Again?
Yeah. Why? I don't know. Westland pit, obviously for damage, just on lap 2, I believe. And already coming back in.
Yeah, don't know what happened. He had a semi-slow drive right back to it. I don't know. He's just trying different things now because he was pretty far back.
Yeah, obviously pitting that early is going to take you off the strategy schedule, and the lighting in the race continues to change dramatically as we just had bright sunny skies, now back down to overcast. Is there any chance of more rain coming? I didn't think that there was, but the
radar looks clear.
Okay, the darkness definitely looks a little rainy. Parada maybe finally getting Nürnberger here.
Humidity's gone back up though. We're at 87%. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not trusting anything at this point. It could rain again.
Into the first turn. Can Parada get it done on the brakes? They're so close. They're inches apart into the braking zone. Nürnberger wants to be as inside as he possibly can. He may actually be able to defend this. Paul Skip's going to get slowed down behind. Jay Smart's lurking in the background. Nürnberger's going to has to slide back in. I don't think that he can hang it around the outside here as they're going to get split by Jay Smart.
Lost so much time there. Unfortunate, just where he caught those guys, but lost probably close to a second.
Yeah, I thought that he was actually going to try to split it there. Nürnberger gets back to the lead in front through the braking zone of Repsol and seals off Parada on the exit. Now through Sayat, can Parada get a good run? Foreman has to back off.
Oh, yeah, he shut the door on him there. That was close. And Greg Holland back there continues to get closer. These guys, you could just throw a blanket under them. These top 4 in GT3B.
I mean, literally 2 seconds separating.
Mauricio around.
Oh, and we just missed that there.
Clip the back of Zach Nürnberger there, and Zach's under fire now.
See what happens as we get a better view of this into the braking zone of Verth. We've seen Parada go a little deep a couple times, and yet Nürnberger a good save there.
Oh, Jesse Coffey and the James Foreman side by side.
Foreman looks like he's going to be able to stay ahead through La Caixa, able to keep it ahead.
Here comes Paletti.
Paletti getting really hung up there. Not a good spot to catch some traffic.
No, but Paletti, the gap has actually gone down. Paletti over the last few laps was closing in on those leaders by almost like a full second a lap. Granted, I know that's probably some traffic, so he's probably going to lose most of that here, but...
Let's take a look at the replay of that event from Zach Nürnberger's point of view. This is him coming up through Verth. Oh, what a good save. What a good save. Yeah,
because James was all over him then at that point and did a good... Zach is doing a great job at just defensive driving here because his car is not as quick as these guys.
Yeah, it definitely has some problems there on the front end. And very valiant effort to stay up in front.
three of these guys here have damage if you think about it. James has some rear damage from the contact with Zach, and Coffee has some front end damage.
He's also got damage along the entire left panel, as you see from that shot there. I don't think we saw exactly what happened, but I think maybe. Oh, and they.
Oh no!
Holland gets a little bit collected, but enough to not get any major damage. Loses a lot. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not. Greg Holland may have gotten a really weak meatball because he towed to the pits for that one.
He's got a meatball too.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be tight to even make it from here, but just not what Coffee wanted to see. He had got himself in a good place. Was potentially battling Foreman to gain some points, but this is great for Jack Lucas. Brings him back into the mix a little point-wise.
Yeah, he is of course 9 seconds back from Sean Adkins right now. Sean Adkins on season debut here, returning after a while's off. He is looking for a B-class podium, and as long as he keeps it clean, that should be possible for him at the very least.
Yeah, and it looks like, wow, James Foreman all over the back of Zach. We might see him move into turn one here. A little far back, but he's got a little bit of speed here. Again, that BMW just has a little bit more damage than that Porsche, so we'll see.
Bit of a hedge inside for Nürnberger.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Foreman just taking the racing line there as Nürnberger slightly left the racing line open. Just taking the inside, what are you going to do? Go all the way inside? He knew he was enough ahead to defend in that way. Take a quick look back at that incident for Holland and Coffee. So just ahead, Jesse Coffee tapping the rear end of James Foreman, and then nothing that Holland could do to avoid that incident.
Yeah, I can't see exactly what happened to Holland, like as far as if he got a meatball there or not, but he has put it on the hauler. He has retired to here tonight.
Yeah, I mean it was one of those where he could have whacked that rear end in a way to shoot that tire inside. It could be an unfortunate one like that. It wouldn't shock me. Jack Lucas makes his way past Mauricio Parada. Lucas is going to make his way up the inside through Verth. Is he going to keep it?
Here comes James Foreman outside of Zach. Oh, we got two really great battles right now.
Parada trying to make something happen, but again, not a passing opportunity there. Can't make anything happen.
Yeah, he almost had him in the braking zone here. It just has that top end speed right now that Zach just does not have.
I don't think we've actually even seen a single successful pass into Lakaisha, as maybe Parada's trying that, and he is, and it doesn't work.
Oh,
yeah,
no
moves into Lakaisha have worked, I think, in this entire race so far.
No, not at all. This is the best James has looked so far going down the front stretch. He's got a good run here. He's closer than last lap. Zach goes defensive.
Again, occupying the center line for Nürnberger. Can Foreman swinging her all the way around the outside. He's going to try. He claims the inside of the corner. Nürnberger's got a nose ahead. Frustrating signs for James Foreman, as that, again, the dirty air through this long right-hander of Renault not doing him any favors.
No, not at all.
Yeah, cars struggling to follow through there. If you can get ahead into that section, you're usually okay, although we have seen some defenses into that braking zone of Repsol.
Yeah, just to update on the GTPs, pretty quiet out there right now. No really big changes. Terrell has started closing the gap on Paletti, though. That is the biggest change. That was about 10 seconds 3 or 4 laps ago. He's got it down to 7.5, so keep an eye on that and see if that keeps closing.
Yeah, it does look like Paletti's also fallen back from those top two. Smart really hasn't lost more time since the time. Oh, and Foreman very wide into Lakaisha, got the inside. Really can he make something happen? He's a good full car length ahead, and I think Nürnberger may finally lose out through this passing zone that we haven't seen work for anybody. And yes, Foreman makes his way around through Lakaisha.
And I'm sure Foreman is relieved. Now he can try to go set his sights on Travis Rowe, who's 22 seconds ahead, which is crazy big gap.
But, yeah, Smart, I don't think has lost more time than, I mean, really only just like a few more tenths than the time that we saw him lose in that incident through Renault. And it's just kind of been pretty much a stalemate between the two since that point.
Yeah, and the traffic is now a lot more spread out, that when they catch traffic, they have a little bit more breathing room, so there's not necessarily as easy of an overtake move. So We'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm sure once pit stops roll around here soon, that might spice things up again.
And we have lost 3 drivers from this race as well. Travis Bell, connection issue. Nathan Westland, I don't know. I don't know why he made that second pit. And Greg Holland with maybe a meatball having to be served down there in Sayat. And and also 2 GTPs as well. Paul Boyle and Ryan Jeevan. We've lost Ryan Jeevan as well. I don't think we saw when that exactly happened.
No, he was having a rough time out there. Just something it didn't seem like was working right for him. So I think he just put it on the hauler.
He looks like lap 19. He drove into the pits and retired from the race there. So not a big incident that happened to lead to it. Just not feeling the pace out there today, I think.
Hey, who is feeling the pace? Mr. Ken Huber. He's got a 4.5 second gap over Terry Calgar, and then his next guy he's even racing for points is another 7 seconds back. He's just in his own zip code right now.
He's got the fastest lap of the race at a 1:43.407. You see just a couple thousandths faster than Terry Calgar's best effort, but through the full stint has that almost 5 seconds now on Terry Calgar Jr. behind. Really not any other drivers able to approach that level of pace. We see McDonald at a 43.6, who's in 3rd overall. Had a great... and Lucas goes wide. Parada, can he take advantage? He cannot. He actually elected not to take advantage there.
Nuremberger's in, so I guess I would assume the pit window has just opened.
That's
so
what I would,
get that car repaired and see what he could do now.
He is a good good ruler, good little benchmark for how long the drivers can go. Almost 40 minutes. He'll be over 40 minutes once he gets out of the pits.
Yeah. And I think we'll probably see Sean Atkins in here soon, too, with all that front-end damage that he has.
That was a little of a late move for Skip, as it looks like, J Smart has very visibly closed up the gap, sub 1 second, and deftly making his way through that traffic. Gained a little bit of time, at least, through that. Didn't lose as much as Skip did.
No, I think he just... Yeah, last lap he was 4/10 up on Skip, so... He's found something these last few laps as the fuel starts to come down in those cars.
Yeah, Skip 3/10 slower in both the last 2 laps, actually, as well. So able to make up what he lost in lap 24. And we'll see, he already has caught up this lap for sure through that turn 1. Didn't get nearly as held up by those drivers. Oh, just so on the edge through Verth. I mean, we've seen him take that a couple times. It's not like he made a mistake there. That's how he's taking it, and it just scares me every time I see it.
If that goes wrong just by a few inches, though, and hits that curb, it's all over because that will send those cars flying.
Yeah, we've seen it with the GT3s, and they're a little more forgiving with curbs than these really flat, low-to-the-ground GTPs can be. So it is a risk worth taking, though, for this victory. Again, J Smart is a little bit out of that championship picture. Has missed a lot of races, unfortunately, but still here to win, of course. And so he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, not to mention the one drive he did in GT3 this season. He started from the very back at Mugello and came back and won. Now, granted, it didn't count because he was classified as a legend, but incredible drive from him there. And he's had a great couple drives this season. He just hasn't been able to quite cap them off.
Yeah, Mugello was a good test, man. It's a very tough driver track. Shows a lot to the skill that he's got, and he's showing it in this GTP class as well. Again, on the season, he's got the most pole positions, despite the fact that he's missed a lot of races and out of it in the championship standings. He's got 7 poles on the season. Didn't get one here today. Skipped close to his total at 6.
Something happened to Mauricio Prado. He is coming into the pits crabbing.
Yeah, off track for 18 seconds from what happens here. This is through Europe car, and
wow. Oof.
Take a look at that again from a different view. Hard to even tell what happened to the car.
Looked like maybe a little bit too strong of a steering input, and it just snapped on him. I don't know. That's an odd incident
See
there.
It from the cockpit view here. Oh, okay. So you can really tell on that cockpit that it was starting to already lose control.
Yeah, once that Lamborghini gets light in the rear end, all bets are off.
J Smart just dodging that sausage curb there as well.
Playing with fire. I mean, you got it though. I mean, he's right on Skip. He needs to. I'm wondering if he wants to get. It seems like he wants to get the overtake done before they head into the pits. That's what it looks like right now.
The other important thing too is the pit strategy. Of course, we have seen the one stop be the victory strategy for both of the last two races, well, actually, just be the better strategy. Excuse me. Paul Skip still did win with the two-stop a couple races ago at Road Atlanta, but he did lose some time with it and actually lost the win with his two-stop strategy last week. So I would imagine both these drivers are keen to try to make this a one-stop race. So that has to be on their minds as well as they're battling.
Yeah, and they're very close to hitting that window. So I think this will just be. It looks like a standard one-stopper unless they have to pit this lap.
And you look at that, too. The gap between them last lap literally equal to the thousandth of a second, both putting in a 1:30.340 exactly.
Yeah, and Paletti, unfortunately, I think he had some traffic. He lost a whole second to those guys, and Terrell gained a bit. So Terrell continuing to chip away. I don't think Terrell, unfortunately, is going to be able to win this thing. But if he can beat Paletti, that's important for the points.
Rosenbaum, the first pit stop for the drivers, really up there at the front of the field, was at a couple times giving Jeff McDonald. Oh, and Skip actually swung into the pit lane there as well. So that's a little early.
Ooh,
That's a little sketchy.
It's a little close.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But McDonald was under pressure a couple times from Rosenbaum, and Rosenbaum going to try that undercut. He's seen that undercut work for him specifically multiple times over the last couple races, and we'll see if that pans out for him again today.
Oh, no, Skip missed his pit. Oh, that's going to cost some valuable time.
No, it could catch there, yeah.
Yeah, Jay might, depending on how Jay does with his in-lap, this could get very tight coming out.
You can see there, yep, that's a good maybe foot past, and that's going to be at least probably losing that spot to Smart unless the undercut is really that powerful here. Although I don't know if it's as much of an undercut as much as it is I'm out of fuel. I got to come in.
Yeah, and I think, frankly, all the other GTPs should be good now because we'll be hitting the halfway mark. So Skip is the only one I would be a little concerned about being short.
Surprised not to see Adkins come in yet. He does have a pretty mangled front bumper there, all things considered, as far as not having a meatball from it. But it should be giving him a little bit of a headache. And we do have that pit open for all these GT3s at this point, and should be still going until minute 50 or so. McDonald in the pits.
We'll want to definitely keep an eye on Jay here when he comes out, because I think we're going to have those two. As long as nothing crazy happens on Jay's pit stop, I think they're going to come out pretty neck and neck.
And we'll also see here the difference between Jeff McDonald and Sheldon Rosenbaum, as these two guys were close to each other. Now Rosenbaum pitting one lap before McDonald. Is that enough to get him a spot? He's not having to battle with Sean Adkins behind, at least. All the other GTPs coming in, Paletti, Terrell. Not a big difference in the strategy for the GTBs. Not that there really could be a big variance.
Yep, everyone else in. A couple of the GT3s still staying out, so we'll probably look to see the rest of them come in this following lap.
McDonald's on the pit exit now. It looks like he's still trying to get up to speed. Rosenbaum at full speed down the straight. McDonald's out onto the track. I think he will have won this battle here, so he has.
He's got it.
Now we watch Paul Skip and see what that missing his box has done to his race standing. Still waiting. Pit exit now for Jay Smart.
Yep, Jay's leaving. Oh, but Jay had to let out of the throttle because there was a GT3 coming out at the same time, and he got caught behind him. Oh, he's going to go through the grass almost to get by him.
And he is still, though, way ahead of Paul Skip. Not even close between the two, and a bit of a blown braking zone for Skip there into the first turn to make things just a little bit more frustrating. Paletti 11 seconds back from Paul Skip. Nick Terrell is on the exit. He's still about 7 seconds back from Paletti.
Yeah, that gap stayed about the same here. And wow, Ken Huber and Terry Calger still have not pitted.
Yeah, we see there Sean Adkins and all of the top 4 yet to pit so far, and all the GTPs obviously have come in already.
Yep, it looks like we got Tyler staying out for another lap, so yeah.
Skip blew Verth, and Jay Smart spun.
Oh my gosh, Skip takes the lead now. Oh.
Both making a mistake at the exact same time in the exact same corner, but Skip making less so of a mistake. As we see here, this is Jay Smart hitting that curb just like we
It
hypothesized
finally
might happen.
happened. Yeah. And then what happened with Skip? Did he just kind of watch what Jay was doing and kind of just missed his point there, it looks like?
I think he had already made the mistake into the turn. So you can see they're just way too deep.
Ah.
But plays it more cautiously and is able to reclaim the lead by a good amount. Now 6 seconds ahead. Paletti now just 4 seconds back from Jay Smart. Now, again, though, the pace of those top two has generally been higher, and with no extra damage to the car, may be able to still stay safely ahead. But traffic can definitely mix things up. Paletti will be hoping to pounce on that at least.
Yeah, that had to feel good for Skip because, I mean, you're going into the corner thinking, oh, man, I'm going to lose so much time here. I made a huge mistake, and he comes out with the lead. So, I mean, that's a huge net win for him. Unfortunately, though, he did pick up an incident. So that's one less point on his tally here at the end, which could matter to the championship picture.
Yeah, incident points have been so crucial, especially when you look at the standings and you just see how much these drivers are racking up every single race. I mean, over the last 5 races, Paul Skips earned 4 safety points in all but one race. When the one he did not was Imola, and actually that one race, Imola ended up giving Nick Terrell temporarily the lead of the championship. So it is very important to try to maximize as much as you can. So the 5 points, that's out of possibility for Skip now, as he's no longer at that 0. Still can get 4, but has to play it pretty clean for the rest of this race.
And you want to talk about the cream of the crop rising. I mean, there's only 4 drivers out on the track right now that have 1 incident or less, and 3 of them are Skip, Terrell, and Paletti. The other one, of course, Ken Huber. So the guys who are the quickest are also keeping it the cleanest.
I know there was some worry about the weather, and all these GTPs are so hard to control, and I don't know but I think that these drivers are showing their mettle and showing why they're running those cars, because they're still manhandling those machines up there at front.
Yeah, putting on a great show. They've put on a great show all season. I feel like a lot of the races have come down to 5 minutes to go, and we got 2 drivers fighting over either P1 and P2 or P2 and P3, which those spots have been so coveted this season because there's so few point swings that they can get.
Yeah, especially lately, we've seen some really close late race battles in GTP, not just a season long, but in the actual race, as Ken Huber, the leader for GTD, comes in the pits. We saw it at Motegi. We saw it at Imola. Saw obviously a crazy one at Road Atlanta with Jay Smart coming back after his crash, and then Spa coming down to the final corner last week, as Calger now inherits the lead, as he is one of, I think, just maybe the only driver who hasn't pit yet.
Langenberg has also stayed out, and so has Sean. So those.
Oh yes, good point.
2 of those are Audis. So maybe the Audi's getting a little bit better fuel mileage here, and maybe the Porsche too. I don't know. That's interesting.
I mean, yeah, like it was pointed out by Nick Terrell that the Lamborghini, I believe, has the largest fuel tank of the GT3s. The Audi shares quite a lot with the Lamborghini, does it not? As far as
yes,
yeah. So there may be a similarity between those two in that effect. He's coming out of the pits. There is Ken Huber right in front of our race leader of Paul Skip.
And just looking at GT3B right now, obviously Sean is in the lead because he hasn't pitted, and Jack's gonna have to come back in. So effectively, James is the net leader right now, 3 seconds over Zach Nurnberger.
It has been a topsy-turvy for the B class, although it's still not the craziest result, if that is what it is. James Foreman, again, the comfortable leader right now for the class. He's got 3 wins on the season. He'd be able to match Nathan Westland and Jack Lucas, but he's currently got 12 podiums on the season, too. Could make that a lucky number 13 here today if he just keeps it clean, as it does look like that should be in the cards for him. Yeah,
and finally, here comes Terry Calger. Based off of what I was calculating, I am a little surprised he went this far. That's impressive fuel consumption there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the difference in pit time. This shown there on the screen is pit lane time. I wanted to include that just to compare. If you can see there, Skip lost probably
Terry
3 seconds.
Missed pit.
And
Ah,
Terry may
man.
lose 3 seconds here as well.
You have to wonder if that rain washed off some of that rubber these guys were expected or something in the pit lane.
Yeah, 51.5 total time spent in the pit lane for Huber, which, of course, as always, with the exception of Jack Lucas, who he pit early, and he had to change the tires because he started on those wets. Faster than everybody, but James Foreman was pretty close, just half a second slower at 52 flat. And Jesse Coffey's, again, his was also due to some extenuating circumstances. Terry Kiger Jr., 3 seconds slower. So, yeah, maybe 3 seconds if you miss your box seems to be a pretty standard payment.
I'm sure Jack's kicking himself because he has kept his nose completely clean this whole race, and he, I think, would be, I mean, you could see it by the leaderboard right now. If he didn't have to make that extra stop, it looks like he'd be pretty far ahead.
Yeah, he would be in a really good position. We'll see where it all ends up for him at the end. I mean, at least he won't have to take as long of a stop as the rest of the drivers, but we'll see how it works out for him, as we've had a bit of a chaotic B-class race so far. But as we hit the close to 54-minute mark, we're going to take a few minute break. We'll be right back with you after this. We'll keep the action on screen. And we are back, and we can see here Sheldon Rosenbaum caught back up to Jeff McDonald, had that battle going before the pit cycle. Jay Smart has also really cut into Paul Skip's lead. It's down to 2.5 seconds. I don't know where that time has come from, but he was 6 seconds back after they came out of the pits.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who else has really picked it up. Oh, Terry Calker just setting the fastest lap for GT3s. That's impressive. But Nicholas Paletti has really picked up his time. I think he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure from Terrell, so picking up the time there as well.
Yeah, that must go to show how fast Jay Smart's running right now, as he's about to break into 2 seconds. Was close to doing that because Paletti's actually fallen back from Jay Smart. And so, yeah, if Paletti's speeding up, but he's still falling back from Smart, then Smart is really putting on the after boosters right now. Of course, you have to keep in mind that Smart, now down to 1.5 seconds, has the fastest lap of the race there for him, 129.5. He has the advantage of one extra lap longer than Paul Skip did on the fuel. He can be a little bit more aggressive on that throttle than Paul Skip can here at the end of the race.
I know there was traffic involved, but he was a 1.5 seconds quicker last lap than Skip, and Paletti was almost 2 seconds slower than Jay. So that just shows you how quick Jay just went.
Yeah, I mean, even disregarding the comparison between the two on that previous lap, 129.5, that's 0.2 faster than Skip's fastest lap, and that was done way early in like the first stint.
Yeah, the track is almost 100 degrees now. Like, it's not getting any easier out there. Oh, Skip's got a really bad spot for Langenberg. Oh, this is going to set him up.
7/10,
Set Jay up here.
6/10.
He almost gets into him again. Oh, that was awful for Paul Skip there. Really cost a lot of time.
Yeah, it cost him about 1.5 seconds, down to 0.4 between the two. Jack Lucas trying to make a move past Zach Nürnberger. Nürnberger's 10 seconds back from James Foreman. It's a tough gap to overcome, so this may be the battle for second coming to the end of the race for that B class back in 8th and 9th overall.
And Jack's made his second pit stop, I believe. So to be P3 net after all, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Jack was up in 5th or so before having to make that, and that is a great exit for Jay Smart. Is he almost too close, though? He may be too close to really take advantage.
Some defensive driving here.
That touch, they touched.
With the blocking.
There was a scrape.
Yeah. Oh, he gives him the spot.
Wow. So just
in the chat, he tells him to pass him. That was interesting.
Is the fuel an issue for Skip? Skip pit. I mean, when he came into the pits, it was before the halfway point. Came out just past the halfway point. Once it was all said and done, is the fuel already seeming like a potential issue for Paul?
I think part of it is the fuel. I think he wants to be conservative there, but I also think the way Jay is racing right now might have scared him a little, and he doesn't want to pick up any more incidents racing him too hard. I mean, in the end, he's just got to finish ahead of Paletti and Terrell. So,
yeah, I mean, that's obviously what it comes down to if we're looking championship length, is that Jay Smart isn't the target necessarily, but that first place points would be pretty nice. But I wonder if it's a combo of that with needing to do some drafting, although he's not, 0.5 back. He could be closer for sure.
Oh, he's going to get close here.
Yeah, he's going to have a benefit as McDonald just really know where he could go to get out of the way for Jay Smart. They're both going to slide on the left through Bonk Sabadell. Oh, and this is not good for Skip.
Oh, contact. There was contact.
Just a little bit of understeer for McDonald.
No incident, at least. It was a 0x, so no harm, no foul.
It did look like it was probably gentle enough to get away with it, but lucky to do so. Now through Seat, again, Lucas still very close to Nürnberger. We almost saw a move into turn one. Since then, hasn't, I think, attempted a pass.
Yeah, he's sizing him up here. I mean, could we see a move coming up here? Jack is looking so strong right now.
Nürnberger, the only victim, I think, again, that we've seen so far of actually getting past here into La Caixa. And I think he'll be safe this time. Had some damage, of course, last time against James Foreman. But Jack Lucas is no slouch. We saw him on overall pole position 2 weeks ago. We saw him have a pretty good win streak in that B class as well. And he's trying to keep up those points in a close battle with Jesse Coffey. He's only got 2 positions on Jesse Coffey currently in the race.
Yeah, and if he can stay close enough coming out of the last turn here, I think he'll have a good chance of getting him under braking. We'll see.
Almost went
good
wide.
Exit. Very good exit.
They disappear behind that. They get another view there. He's going to go to the left, inside for Nürnberger. Defensive line. Can he get it done on the brakes? Around the outside, Lucas, the only driver in the Mercedes. We don't know how the car's doing here at the racetrack. We only know him. Oh, they're still side.
Through there. That's tight.
I don't know if he can hang around the outside of the BMW here through Renault. Oh, now the dirty air is going to be affecting him. Yeah, sure enough, cannot do it. That is why Nürnberger wanted that right side, inside line of that racetrack. If you can still stay ahead through the first couple corners, you can really comfortably seal that lead through that long right-hander.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Skip caught Terry at the worst possible spot, so just lost a little bit of time to Jay there. He had closed back up, but now has to bring that gap back down.
It's been a big push-pull in that GTP class between Smart and Skip, and back to 1.5 seconds now. They've both...
Look at the gap to Terrell and Paletti. That is coming down quick.
Yeah, right now, Terrell down to sub 3 seconds. I was going to say both, despite maybe some of the trip-ups that Smart and Skip have had, they're still pulling away from Paletti in third, so that gap is continuing to increase. But yeah, Terrell is starting to make it a little bit scary for Paletti. They both pit on the same lap, so no difference in tires or fuel strategy between the two.
And you know what? With this fighting that Jack and Zach are doing, it's brought Sean in. So Sean trying to get that last spot on the podium, closing in on the Jack Lucas.
It provisionally sat on that podium spot earlier in the race, but Lucas able to make a pretty good recovery here late.
He's going to go wide here. That was a very... Oh, wow.
That's what he did
Holds
last
onto
lap.
that pretty well.
Nürnberger wants the inside again, maybe. He's not shading as far inside. Lucas is going to take the inside.
Oh, he gave him an inch, and he's going to take it.
A very interesting strategic decision. Nürnberger later on the brakes around the outside. I think he's got enough to slide fully in front.
Yeah, that was tight. I thought Jack was going to go a little bit wider there because he got the curb, but good car control there.
Yeah, not a tactical error by Lucas. Of course, just trying a different way to get around. I think that time he just didn't have as much. I think maybe if he had been able to do that on the previous lap, he may have actually been able to get around, but didn't have nearly as much overspeed this time around.
And here comes Sean. Gets closer and closer each corner.
Got down to just 7/10. It's going to be difficult to get by unless...
Something happened to Terrell. Something major, because that gap has gone way back up.
Yeah, 7 seconds, 6 or 7 seconds now just lost. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we can see this instant. So that's Terry through a fast corner of Europe car. A dramatic and fancy-looking slide for Terry.
Have to see almost another angle on what happened. Did he just not see him coming, or do you think that was just not a great spot to make the move?
I mean, it wasn't. I don't think he expected. I think he knew he was there. I don't think he expected him to actually try to pass into Europe car. Would have generally benefited both guys more to wait until they get to New Holland. But lucky save for Terry. Good on the wheel. I'd love to see that on board as well to see what it looked like for his point of view. Let's take a look at that.
A lot of drifting.
Opposite lock.
Save. Barely lost any time, too. Incredible job there.
This battle's heated up again. Rosenbaum and McDonald. This is 4 seconds. They're both on the podium. Again, Terry Kiger's points not counting.
Harold picked up, obviously, a 2X for that. 2 incidents for that. But so is Paletti. I don't know what happened to Paletti, but everyone's equal on incidents now. So they're all going to come out of here with the same points unless any of them go over 5 at this point. So that's kind of a wash now.
Skip will be happy to, well, not that he hears it now, but Skip will be happy that that's happening, as probably was a little worried with the couple incidents he picked up earlier that was going to affect him. Terry's in the pits. I don't know if that got him damage or something. I mean, he seemed like he recovered fine, but he's in the pit lane now.
Yeah, no meatball or anything, so I don't know what happened there.
Rosenbaum still sub half second, was a couple tenths faster than McDonald on that previous lap. Now rightfully into the representative first, second, third spots for Huber, McDonald, Rosenbaum. Huber has, of course, had some more stress over the last, 10 races or so. But he's back to his typical domination of 20-plus second victories so far here today.
It would appear that way. I'm sure that's not what the rest of the field wants to see, but I'm sure Ken's pretty happy.
Yeah, I know there's been a couple tracks he just wasn't as comfortable with or familiar with or strong at. Maybe we're back to another one that he's happy with. But definitely doing well here today, looking to be on for yet another podium on the season.
Just taking a look to see if anything else happened with Terry Calger to prompt him to come into the pits, and it just looks like he just drove it in under his own power as we see Jack trying again to get around Zach.
Paletti splits the two.
Squeezes in.
He gets by without really affecting him too much. But,
He's
Nürnberger late.
He's not flying.
Nürnberger was deep.
Yeah, and Sean's right there too. Oh, this is going to get tight.
This is the outside you don't want to be on. Nürnberger aggressive, really aggressive to try to get. He knew what would happen if he was hung around the outside and was just pushing as hard as he could to just get let in front. Eventually able to squeeze his way in front, and Sean Atkins doesn't take advantage yet, at least.
Yeah, this B class is putting on a show. This is fantastic racing here. Zach messes up, got a little squirrely there. Here comes Jack.
It's not a long run into Verth. I don't know if there's a good opportunity for Lucas to make something happen here. It looks like he is going to stick behind.
Yeah, something these drivers have to be careful for. They don't want to tag the back end going through there because we've seen how that's caught a few drivers out. Jack is all over the back. Oh, he gets loose.
He goes a little bit wider. Sean Atkins maybe has the run on Lucas now this time. Lucas still close to Nürnberger, but he has to worry about defending now. Atkins on along the inside into Lakaisha. Katie follow Nürnberger through. It looks like he's not going to be able to rejoin the line. Lucas Nick Terrell's just massively held up here.
He just needs to be smart.
Just a
think about the incidents here.
Disaster for Nick Terrell. Horrible timing. But Atkins unable to make that move happen then. Can he make it happen into turn one, though? Was really close through New Holland and still close through the exit. Nürnberger could breathe a sigh of relief for at least one lap as the two behind him are now starting to really scrap.
Yeah, nothing really too much going on out front with Jay and Paul Skip, so keep our eyes on this action here.
Atkins not pulling out to make something happen. He was a tenth and a half back. I really thought that he was going to try. But a stronger exit through Elf for Jack Lucas. It's not enough, I don't think, to do something to Nürnberger's current lead of this group.
He's going to try another crossover here. I don't think he's going to have enough, though. He's just not quite close enough. And, of course, James Foreman's loving this. He's just getting to pull a bigger and bigger gap on P2 right now.
Yeah, we saw the gap at already a good 10 seconds. Now it's increased to almost 15 seconds. Now, he can't really climb up to Travis Rowe's spot 15 seconds ahead of him. So he's had a couple lonely races recently. Last race was pretty exciting for Foreman. But he's had a couple races recently where he's been in a bit of a hole as far as pace, where he's not close to the guy in front, but he's way ahead of all the guys behind him. And I think it's going to be another race like that for him today. Actually, everybody from fourth to sixth, all three of those guys are in that same situation.
Yeah, it looks that way. Oh, man. These guys just take the corners so differently from one another. So you see the gap close and kind of ebb and flow through there. But right now, whatever Zach's doing, it's enough to hold off Jack Lucas. And, I mean, Zach has done probably as much mirror driving as he's done all season here just tonight.
Yeah, right now you see also the sectors just given one way or the other. Faster for Lucas in 1 and 3. Nürnberger a little faster through 2, but overall, Lucas catching up on that lap. Had a decent gap actually coming into that lap. Very close now into this braking zone. Now it's where he was strong last lap. Doesn't have the opportunity to move around though. And Nürnberger's going to stay ahead into the start of Renault. Will Lucas try something brave into Repsol this time?
Man, that Jack has just looked a little bit stronger in that first sector, but it hasn't been able to translate to an overtake yet because Zach is just a little bit stronger everywhere else.
Yeah, and I mean the into turn one is the best passing opportunity. The BMW's straight line speed maybe helping Nürnberger out a little bit at least, although the Mercedes is another car similar kind of setup where it's generally pretty good in the top speed sections.
Yeah.
Up through Verth, still line astern.
And the battle continues on. No overtakes or spot changes yet, but Jeff McDonald and Sheldon Rosenbaum continuing to just keep that 1 second gap here.
And then Skip is actually falling back even more from Jay Smart as well. Last laps, they were identical to each other, so it wasn't over the previous lap. Seems like laps in general maybe not differing, but some traffic is potentially affecting Paul Skip a little bit more than Jay Smart as they pick their way through some individual cars, but almost 4 seconds now.
Yeah. Looks like Jack keeps going a little bit wider in that last corner, and that's giving him the run that he needs. He just needs a little more on the braking zone, because it seems like that's where Zach can hold him off.
Yeah, he really maximizes the track there, but difficult to make it happen when you can't really get alongside. Wasn't able to do so there.
No. Yep. Follows him through. Now, can he try to set him up for a move through here, perhaps?
Staying pretty close. We just haven't really seen anything work after this point. And he's not going to try something. It's also a bit of a complicated braking zone there, too. You're still kind of turning from Renault. You're not really done with that turn before you start on the brakes. And so it's extra sketchy to try to swing to the inside and make a move.
Yeah, and just to wrap things up, it looks like Terry has put it on the hauler for the night. So good, strong showing here tonight. Ooh, wow.
Getting brave with those curbs there. We've seen it end a couple races, or at least derail a couple races here today. Didn't do it for Lucas there. But these guys both separated, all three of these guys, excuse me, all separated by just 0.3 of a second right now. And Adkins getting a little feisty back there in Lacaisha, but not... Oh, and deep now there. He's falling back now 0.4.
Yeah, it's going to be a little more difficult to overcome, but he got through there really strong.
Ooh, Lucas actually had to let up there through Europe
That's
car.
That's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Nuremberg, a much more conservative line on the exit, like you said. I didn't get to see behind. Lucas generally taking more advantage of that track. He has a good run on him here.
Yeah, this is a good-looking one here. We'll see if he can complete it. He goes really deep this time.
He's well ahead into the braking zone. Can he get it stopped? He's off track. He's off track. He's going to have to give up that spot.
He's going to give up 2 spots.
Lose to Adkins, yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He almost had it, and I think just slightly missed his braking point, but he had to try something, and he's got 15 minutes to try to regroup here. And
I think that was really the second best opportunity he's had heading into turn 1. Just couldn't nail that braking spot, like you said. And he still has plenty of time. 15 minutes to try to... But we'll see how difficult it might be or might not be to get around Sean Adkins here, who I don't think we've seen on a lot of defense. We've seen him on attack so far in this race, but hasn't had to defend his spot a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is Sean's chance to kind of shine and see if he can get the job done on Zach. He's closing up to Zach here ever so slightly, so we'll see if he can put a charge on him or not.
Yeah, I think it's fair to mention, of course, that they're attacking and defending. They are definitely 2 different skills. It's not just, oh, you're a fast race car driver, so you could do both. Like, it takes a lot of skills to do either one. And we're going to see some defense on display here because Lucas, again, always seems to nail these last couple corners. And he's really close to Sean Adkins through this couple. Through New Holland. How's this exit going to look? That's the absolute maximum track that you can use. He's now sub 0.2. He's got a good run down the straight.
And Jack is slowly increasing his incidence to the point where he might be out of safety points. So he's got to be careful here too. He's at 8 currently. Just got to be smart.
He's maybe getting some from there, from that off track back there. Then potentially, he definitely is flirting with the edge. That's definitely clear. But I don't know exactly where the track limit is on that turn, especially since iRacing typically, I think, measures it with like the center of the car. So there's no way that we can like visually confirm or not if something is an off track in their safety point system.
And this is big. Actually, James Foreman has the highest incidence of anyone still running out there, so he's not getting any points, and neither is Jesse Coffey. So Jack has the potential already to gain at least 3 points on those guys. Now, granted, James is ahead of him on track, so that kind of balances out. But
Yeah, with Lucas and Coffee, those were the two that were really close to each other. So that's the overarching story behind Lucas's minor mistake there in turn one. It's not just that he lost potentially a move on Nuremberger and the spot to Sean Atkins, but now he's just one race position ahead of Jesse Coffee in what is a very close championship right now. He is ahead. He is ahead by 1 point in the overall standings. So it's not like he's not going to pull away a little bit more, but he's losing some potential points on his competitors.
Ooh, we got it. This is the tightest it's been between Jeff McDonald and Sheldon Rosenbaum here. They were almost bumper to bumper through that last corner.
We saw Rosenbaum with some really exciting fighting with Nathan Westland last race, and even some airtime in the bus stop as he collided with the GTP. He didn't see what an incredible save that he had. We've seen some pretty impressive saves so far today as well.
Yeah, the fact that Sheldon recovered that and I think lost only one spot because he had a slowdown was just mind-blowing. That was amazing.
Yeah, just lost the one spot. Had to serve all 3.5 seconds of penalties. And was not fun to do that. Fought back, though, still to get that maiden win. And is looking to be on for another podium here. He had for a while, again, debuted midway through the season, so was out of it as far as the overall standings. But for a good while was podiuming in every single race that he ran. And looks like he's back to that kind of streak again, as he's currently in third, trying to fight up to there for second.
I don't know. To me, it looks like his tires are just in a little bit better shape than Jeff's right now. He seems to be able to take these corners just a tad bit more aggressive, and I think that's playing to his advantage.
Yeah, McDonald, like I said, at the top. Ooh, that was a little slidey. McDonald going a little wide, though. But McDonald, like I said at the top of the broadcast, in some top form right now. Has had some of his best races as of late, especially since that Fuji race. And looking to continue that momentum. Especially qualifying has gone really well for him lately. Did so today, qualified in fourth up to second. Good shout out, too, to Travis Rowe, who qualified in 15th. I don't think he even got a time in, potentially. And he's now up to 5th place overall, and actually has moved his way up the spots quite quickly as well to get to that top group.
I know he got a little bit of an advantage when Jack was on those wets, and I know he was able to pick up, I think, like 1 or 2 extra positions that would have been a little bit harder. But yeah, he's had an incredible drive here today to gain 10 spots, especially at a track that's notorious for challenging overtakes.
Yeah, Langenberg ahead of him is up 8 spots himself, and Langenberg definitely did have a time in on the board. I think there's been a couple times that qualifying has given Langenberg a bit of a difficulty, but that race pace really comes through, especially in that second stint, and he's doing well. He's in, again, a similar kind of deal where he's not close to these two for second and third, so he's going to finish off of the podium here today, but 4th place is still going to bring home a lot of good points for that second place standing guy in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Josh Doty not being here, it's looking like he's starting to lock that position up. Yeah,
Rowe is 52 points back and is behind him on track. So, yeah, especially with Doty missing, I think the last couple races, or 2 of the last three of the last 4 races, including today.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't help either. But man, Jeff is really starting to kick up some dirt here. It seems like his tires are really crying out.
Yeah, looking a little tough, although it is a very defensive line. I mean, you're not going to get inside of somebody who's kicking up dirt on the inside, that's for sure. So, hogging a valuable piece of track through this section. Again, no real passing opportunity into Verth.
Yeah, Sheldon just, he is just driving the wheels off of that thing right now, but just can't go anywhere with it. Just different lines, and the way that Jeff is driving, he's driving really well, driving very defensively, and it's working great for him. He's not opening any doors for Sheldon.
And of course, in the same car, and a car that has maybe the only example. I was talking, everything seemed well bopped. It does seem like maybe the Ferrari is the most powerful, at least in these setups that we're using at these tracks lately, has been the best pick. We have just 3 Ferraris in the race, and one of them being Nathan Westland, who did qualify well, but of course we saw him out of the race early. But these guys both on the podium, and showing that strength of the Ferrari car, but neither one really going to get an advantage on each other because they're in equal machinery.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed with the Ferrari throughout the season. At the quicker tracks with the quicker turns, it's just been a class of its own. But it also does have instances where it can get unpredictable. But these guys have had a really good handle on it here today and doing a really solid job.
Still close through this trio. Lucas has not fallen off the group, but Adkins has now brought it to 10th and a half to Nürnberger. Nürnberger hasn't had to do as many deliberate defense attempts as he had to do from Lucas, but it might start soon as we are below 7 minutes to go. Only going to be, probably 5 laps or so. Not a lot of opportunities left for these guys.
Yeah, and nothing much going on with GTPs. We still got J Smart, Paul Skip, Paletti, and Darrell running out there in the same order they have been. And I mean, gaps have kind of fluctuated a little. Terrell's cut into Paletti a little bit, but the gap between Smart and Skip has just continued to go up.
Yeah, Smart is definitely lighting up the times, especially here in this second stint. Skip.
Oh, here we go! Sheldon Rosenbaum finally was able to stick a nose in. Obviously, didn't quite have enough time, but the move was almost on there, and I think he's just sizing Jeff up here with these final few minutes.
Yeah, you don't want to try to leave it to the last lap necessarily, because if your plan doesn't work, you're out of luck. So you want to try to do it with a little bit of leeway in case that first opportunity doesn't work for you. And it looks like maybe that was a first try for Sheldon Rosenbaum there, trying to get to that second place spot. Pretty much equal times last lap. Coming down the straight now. It doesn't look like anything's going to happen into turn 1 at least. It's Jay Smart's coming up on him. Again, Jay Smart now almost 8 seconds ahead of Paul Skip. Paul Skip actually just bleeding away time as we were looking at the gap. Again, 1 lap earlier on the pits than all the other drivers.
Yeah, and Skip a second and a half slower than Paletti, so Paletti cut into him a little. I don't think Paletti's going to have enough time, but interesting to see that.
Yeah, all the top 4 actually separated, but just about 7 seconds each. And I don't know if we're going to see any of those spots change, but interesting to see the gaps all evening out there. We've seen the top 2 so close to each other earlier in the race, and then we've seen much larger gaps further back as well, but it's all getting a little bit late to be making up that much time, I think.
Yeah. We got Sheldon here. Just continue. I think Sheldon's going to have one more go. I think that's all he's got left. He's just got to close that gap a little as we see Jack Lucas just hasn't really been able to make any headway on Sean like he was with Zach.
Yeah, it definitely... Oh, and Sean maybe... Oh, just for 1 second. 1 second had an opening there. It is really difficult to pass somebody who's so close to someone in front. You got to get by and slot in. Like, it becomes a lot more difficult. It's similar to traffic you have to deal with at the start of a race. So I don't envy Lucas's position, because getting past Adkins when Adkins, especially has that draft as well from Nürnberger in front, is just going to be really tough.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul had to bleed even more time now. Paletti has it under 5 seconds now.
Yeah,
due to some traffic.
Must be fuel. Well, again, maybe possibly still traffic here. I wonder.
Yeah, fuel's a good point though. How close is the fuel for him?
Just given that he just keeps consistently losing more and more time, but look at how close Atkins is. Can he make something happen in the Lacaisha? And not a place that we've seen moves made. In F1, they get some DRS through that section to help him out a little bit. It's just a little bit too short of a straight and too difficult of a corner beforehand that you can't go side by side through, I think, to make anything happen in these GT3s.
Yeah, the way the GT3s have been at some of these tracks this season, I think they could benefit from some DRS or push to pass, but they got nothing. They got to do it on their own will and their own driving ability right now. You see, those Sean and Jack are just taking more track there, and I don't think no incident was picked up for either one of them, so working to their advantage to try to claw that position away from Zach Nürnberger.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, Nürnberger could be doing a little more to defend his spot, I think, but still having that pace enough up there at front to stay safe. He's probably only got 3 laps at the absolute most left to do here. We're about to hit 2 minutes to go. I have to do it in my head. I guess Smart just crossed the line, so it would not help them because he's not going to, unless he laps them within the next couple laps.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think so. But the gap between McDonald and Rosenbaum has kind of grown now. So unless something happens to Jeff, I think Jeff is pretty safe with P2.
Yeah, and this would
keep
be
an eye on these guys
another
here.
great finish for McDonald if he finishes here second. He's currently 11th overall in the standings and 6th in the A class.
Oh, that's the closest Sean's been. He's got a huge run this time.
Yeah, 1/10, sub 1/10.
He's pushing him.
Around the outside. Outside is not an easy move to make in Lakeisha. Can he get it done?
It in there?
Yeah,
just can't quite hold it.
It is almost impossible to make that happen unless you're already ahead and you've got the nose ahead. Maybe you can make it work, but coming from behind, I think Nuremberger knows exactly what he can do to stymie that pass attempt from Adkins. With 1 minute to go, the white flag is going to come behind them. So if they get lapped on this lap, Smart is very close. This may actually be the last lap for these guys. This might be the last opportunity now for Lucas as well to make the pass on Atkins. Smart is definitely going to get them on this lap, I think. Lucas, 1/10 back, not anything happening. I thought that might have been an opportunity there to just try something aggressive on the inside. Didn't do it there. Atkins 3/10 back from Nuremberger through Renault. Don't know if he's close enough to make anything happen in the Repsol. We've seen just a couple moves happen there, and yes, there we go. And Smart now lapping Lucas.
Comes.
This is white flag appearing for these guys, and maybe something that they didn't expect or see coming as they came across that line. Maybe they thought they had one more lap of opportunities.
Sean's going to take advantage of it here. It's a little line. It's not going to make a huge difference, though.
Yeah, I think Sayat was a good turn for that to happen to Zach. Pretty slow corner, so not a lot of time lost. They're coming up on a GT3 to make their way by through the apex as well. I think they did it okay. He stayed way to the inside, but Nuremberger looks a little uncomfortable there in front. Can Adkins make something happen? He's on the outside. It didn't work for him last time in Lakeisha. As long as Nuremberger hits the brakes right, he should be okay, unless there's going to be an attempt at a switchback. Oh, and I think there was. I think that was the plan.
Yeah.
Well sealed off for Nuremberger. I think Nuremberger is going to be able to maintain this second place spot as there's no more opportunity to pass unless there's a big mistake. And there is a mistake for Adkins. Lucas is going to get the spot. Lucas into the podium spot of third. Not a lot of time lost for Adkins, but enough to lose a position between this close battle. Skip following behind. Jay Smart has crossed the line as the victor for today's race. Had that win streak just a few races ago. He's back on the top step of the podium. Paul Skip behind.
Sean Atkins has crashed. That's going to potentially give a spot to Coffee here.
Yeah, don't know what in the world happened to him. Lucas is disaster. I mean, Lucas thought maybe he got one more spot on Jesse Coffee. He's going to lose that now. Ken Huber comes across the line as the winner for GT3. Jeff McDonald just needs to make one more corner happen for a second place in a great finish here for Barcelona, with Sheldon Rosenbaum occupying that third step on the podium. Great race for both of those guys. Rosenbaum chased him for plenty of that. Well, really, just I think the entire race almost.
The entire race, yeah.
And a stout, steely defense for Jeff McDonald here tonight. A couple more drivers coming across. Langenberg, a great recovery from a qualifying spot of 12th up to 8th. And Travis Rowe, who I don't know if he even put in a qualifying time, up 10 spots from 15th. Going to make his way up to 5th place here tonight. That is a great move for that A-class driver.
Yeah, excellent drive from Travis Rowe. I think he attempted to put a qualifying lap. Oh, no, he actually didn't. Nope. So, yeah, no qualifying lap from the back. Gets to 5th.
And James Foreman crosses the line as the B-class victor. No stranger to it on the season, but he now matches Jack Lucas and Nathan Westland at that 4 wins apiece. Points-wise, definitely a dominant leader of the class right now. Does not have it mathematically sealed like Ken Huber does up at front, but with some clean races to finish the season, should be able to lock it out. So let us look at the official overall results.
Yeah, so Jay Smart taking the victory here tonight, although it was not without challenge. Him and Paul Skip fought tooth and nail through traffic, both making a mistake at the same time, but Jay coming out on the better end of that. But Paul Skip will finish second. Nicholas Paletti, who just kind of was in no man's land all race, brings it home in third. A good solid drive for him to keep the incident count down. And Nick Terrell finishes fourth with no real. I mean, he didn't really get any practice time, so decent run for him. And then Ryan Jeevan and Paul Boyle were two of our entries that were unfortunately out early on in this thing.
Looking at our GTD field in first place, no stranger to the winner's circle. Ken Huber, win number 14 on the season after getting pole number 11 with podium number 17. Absolutely dominant on the season. Jeff McDonald with his, I think, tied for best finish on the season there. Third podium of the season, following his podium just last week. Sheldon Rosenbaum, after his win last week, it's a sixth podium on the season here in third. Langenberg and Rowe ran out the top five. James Foreman gets first for the B class for win number 4. Nuremberger, podium number 5. And Jack Lucas, podium number 10. Jesse Coffey, Sean Adkins, Todd Schneider, Terry Kiger Jr. unscored. Mauricio Parada, Greg Holland, Travis Bell, and Nathan Westland round out the field. What a wonderful race we had there. Let's see. Do we have any of our winners ready for some interviews? It looks like we do. We got some names in there. So if you want to bring in one of our victors and talk to him here today.
Yeah, let's talk to Jay Smart. Jay, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. Sirs.
Well, it's nice to see you up here. Talk us through that race and that crazy corner where you and both Paul, I don't know if you noticed, but you and Paul ran into some issues.
The one with the curb, the sausage curb?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yes. So, yeah, it looked like you spun out, and then he also went really deep and was losing some time, but he ended up coming out on top through that corner.
Yeah, I did that a few times in practice, and I was like, I know I'm going to do it at some point in the race. And yep, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just got distracted or what, but you run a little wide, and I don't know if it's the car or not, the Acura. Like, I think I have a hard time gauging where the side of the car is, because in practice, every time I hit it, I didn't think I was going to hit it. And then same thing happened again. Like, I thought I was clear. I was a little too wide, and it just caught it. And once that happens, it's so difficult to control it. Luckily, I didn't hit the wall or like spin or anything, so it was okay. And happy that I came back out in second and I was able to come back. I think most of the race was just, I think, fuel saving for us GTPs. So similar to last week, I think it was just who did it better. Probably I noticed I got an extra lap on top of Paul in the first stint. I was fuel saving pretty hard, and it wasn't actually losing too much time. And then I was able to push a little bit in the first half of the second stint, and that's when I kind of caught back up to him after my spin, because I could tell he was fuel saving a lot. And I was just kind of pushing full bore. And then after I got in front of him, then I can kind of control the pace with fuel saving again. So I was kind of like saving where I could, just to try to hold the gap there. And then I'm also not sure what happened in the pits. I don't know how I came out in front of him after my pit stop.
He overshot his pit just slightly.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
Oh, that's all it took. Oh no. Yeah, I saw. I came out, and I fully expected him to be in front. I saw no cars, and I was like, oh, he must have gained time on me with the undercut. And then I saw he was behind, and I don't know if that changed my mentality, and then I clipped that curb or what happened, but it worked out okay.
It looked like, yeah, you even had a bit of a wrinkle too with the pit exit, getting caught in some traffic where you had to actually let up.
Yeah, thank God that pit exit is 2 cars wide. I think I was able to pin it and just go up alongside him. I don't think it held me up too much, so that was good. And thankfully it didn't rain, because I don't know if you guys have driven these cars in the rain, but they're terrible when you can't change the setup. So with the traction control setting so low, it would have been seriously miserable. And I did a few laps like in practice before the race in the rain, and I could barely keep it on track. So I don't know how the race would have gone if it had rained.
Now,
yeah, can you talk us
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
go ahead, Zach.
just looking his history back a little bit. You had 3 wins in a row. Twin Ring Imola, Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta, even with the disaster, came away with the win in that race. Hockenheim, probably a race to forget, and a Spa, a bit of a mixed bag. But back here to the winner's circle, a couple little scary incidents, but a pretty dominant race pace wise. What did you find in this race that brought you back to that top step?
I don't know. I mean, I noticed everyone stayed in the Porsche. I think the Acura has been a little bit quicker with the last BOP that they did. So maybe it's a car. Um, Again, these last 2 races were just 100% fuel saving too. So I don't know if it was just the strategy differences that we had. I think my strategy for fuel saving was pretty good because I noticed I wasn't actually. I think I did one lap that was under 130 with like on a fuel saving lap, so that whatever I was doing, it wasn't losing too much time somehow. I think the laps were more tire limited than they were like top speed limited at the end of the straights or anything. So if you just lifted at the right times, lift and coast, you could really kind of hold the same pace. And then, yeah, a little bit of luck, I think. No rain, Paul's pit stop, the traffic just kind of, the first thing, Paul and I were kind of going back and forth there, and it was purely just kind of like who got the better traffic while we were both fuel saving and kind of just trying to run our race. And then the second stint is kind of where it opened up and got a little more competitive, I think.
So next week we're heading to Interlagos, which looks like, based off of the weather forecast, there might be a higher chance of rain. So how do you feel about your chances next week heading there?
Man, that track has no grip when it's dry. So, I don't know. I think it's gonna be really tough. I don't know how these other guys are in the rain. When we did the practice rain race, I ran the GT3 in it. And it felt good then when we did Sebring, but I'm fully not competent at all. Competent, confident, whatever you would call it. I'm not that in these cars. So we'll see what happens. It might be a race of attrition. I don't know how the other guys would do. I think they tend to be a little more conservative anyway. I definitely come out of these races with more incidents than everyone else. I had 7 in this race, especially from that spin. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes.
Well, congratulations on that dominant performance you had here tonight. Another victory on the season for you. A strong second half, especially that you've had with win number 4 now, which places you second in the GTP class for total wins. And hope to hear from you again in maybe a difficult race next week in Interlagos.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I kind of wish I had run those few races in GT3, but here we are. All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, Jay.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
All right. That was Jay Smart. Now let's talk to our, I believe, what is it now? 14th time winner of the season. Ken Huber, do you have a copy?
14th.
Hey, what's going on, Aaron and Zach? Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, so talk us through your race here tonight. It looked like there was some rain coming down in qualifying and warm up. So tell me about how that was for you.
Yeah, so qualifying, I did some practice in the rain. I was really hoping for a rain event, at least at the start of the race, but we kind of didn't get it. But at the start there during qualifying, I was like, well, it's not raining now, so I'm going to get a decent lap in on slick. So I knew I was going to be able to do that, whether it was 1 or 2 laps. And I was able to get 2 laps in, and then after that, the track went away. I couldn't go any faster because it was getting slick. So that's kind of how that qualifying went. But then during the race, it was, it kind of dried out again, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to slicks or stay on slicks, obviously. But the question was, when I'm out there running, is what places on the track could I touch? Because you get in those painted areas and stuff like that on the slicks, so all of a sudden you just spin out for no reason. So it was kind of like this balancing act. And I was watching Terry behind me, and I was like trying to figure out, okay, is he hitting the paint? Is he hitting the curbs? Because I want to go faster, but I need to know it's safe there. So I was kind of testing areas when I could and trying to find dry spots. And then eventually, within 10 minutes, it was kind of raceable everywhere.
It seems like the track conditions tonight were other than just the rain too, like it seemed like the temperature was fluctuating all over the place. But you had some of the best pace through all of those sectors, whether it was practice where you had the best time by almost a second, qualifying where you put it on pole, and of course leading every lap. So how did you cope with the pretty severe track swings that we had tonight?
Yeah, I actually didn't notice that at all with the swings. I just, with 4 times weather, I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, you are going to have those swings. The clouds lift, and before you're done with a lap, the track temperature's gone up 6, 7 degrees. So, that's what causes those extremes and those big changes. So, I always drive a little bit under, just try to be smooth, and I think that's what pays off. I think if you're pushing the car to the limit, that's where you find the limit on the next lap or something like that. You'll just wipe out.
So next week we head to Interlagos, and according to the weather forecast, it looks like it might be a greater chance of rain. So tell me about how you feel about going into that track. If it's dry, if it's wet, how do you think your chances will be?
Dry or wet, I hate that track. That is my number one piece of garbage track that
Wow.
belongs in the dumpster of racing. I hate that track with
Wow.
a passion. Yeah, but it's not that I'm super slow there, but I don't, I'm probably not going to be that great there. If the rain will make it fun, but yeah, no, that track, yeah, I hate that track. So it's going to be hard for me to even show up, I think.
Well, that was
Just
a
kidding.
wonderful, dominant performance here tonight. Again, you continue. I can't believe you got your podium last week, despite the crash you had. I was sure that you were going to be out of your podium streak. You still have it
So
going.
was I. That
17
was
races.
actually kind of amazing. I did that 360, and I was like, well, I'm still going, and the car was still drivable. So I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
I was just as surprised as you.
congratulations on that streak continuing. I'd love to see it continue for the rest of this season, these last few races that we got. So we might hear from you again soon, Ken. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, guys. You have a good night.
All right, and that was Ken Huber, our GT3A winner here. Let's talk to James Foreman, who had an incredible battle in the B class here tonight. James, you got a copy?
Yeah. How's it going?
Pretty good. You guys in the B class really put on quite the show here tonight. You and Zach Nurnberger, Jack Lucas, Jesse Coffey. Tell me about all those battles and that contact you had, I believe, with Zach early on.
Yeah, it was at the beginning it rained, so the track was still a little bit wet, but I chose to go on dry tires, and so I got stuck in it looked like right in the middle of 3 wide, and went around and got bumped from the back, so I got spun, and I had to make my way all the way back up through the field again, and it was a really hard track to pass on. Battling with Zach, he was really good at defending tonight, and trying to get past him was pretty hard. But I was kind of surprised I actually won the B class tonight. It was quite the battles out there.
Yeah, you didn't even see the toughest part of defense that Zach had to put on later. Obviously, he had that really comfortable lead in that B class victory back behind you, 15 seconds or so. Nurnberger was defending every single lap from Jack Lucas into turn one, and yeah, definitely looked like a tough guy to get around. It also looked like just a difficult track. A lot of errors, mistakes, collisions, stuff like that. I mean, you had a pretty eventful start of the race. Last half of the race, maybe not so much. But how did you just weather the storm and survive that first bit of chaos?
Actually, I'm surprised I did survive that first bit. But once I kind of got in the clear, I put in some fast lap times to try to pull away from the people behind me. And then I saw Zach pitted early, and so I was like, oh man, he's going to try to undercut me. So I tried doing as fast of laps as I could. And then I was looking at him when I was pitting. All of a sudden I see him coming up, and I barely got ahead of him again out of the pits. And then I just, it looked like I put a gap on him, and I was basically racing by myself after that.
With us heading to Interlagos next week, it looks like with the way the points are going, you got at least one hand on that B-class trophy now. Well, how do you rate your prospects going into that race, especially with the chance of an increase in rain?
Well, it makes it kind of interesting going into it with chance of rain, because you got to practice both wet and dry track. So you practice, especially if you practice in the wet, and then all of a sudden you hop on and practice in the dry. You're like, oh my gosh, I got so much grip around these corners, because you kind of go gingerly around them when it's wet. So we'll see. I haven't raced that track much, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty tight one. So I think qualifying is going to be really important in that race. because I think that one will probably be pretty hard to get some passes on. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, again, congratulations on that return to the winner's circle, now matching Jack Lucas and Nathan Westland at 4 wins apiece in this season.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, you've racked up plenty of podiums, that's for sure. There's been a couple times that that top step's eluded you. You got it here today, and you did it with a pretty good gap behind you as well. So congrats on that performance tonight.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you have a good night, James.
Yeah, you too.
All right. And that was James Foreman, our B-class winner tonight, who just put a great drive on. Once he got the clean racetrack, he was gone.
Yeah, this was a really exciting race, start to finish. A-class, B-class, saw a lot of stuff happening here today, and maybe a little bit more crazy next week when we add some more weather into the mix. So Interlagos, unlike Ken, a track that I love, so one that should be a really good show for everyone. And I don't know if we've been there for a while for E4A as well. I can't actually remember the last time we went to Interlagos.
Believe it was season 1 of 2022. So we're looking at 2+ years since we've been there. So a lot of new names have come out. I know last time we were there was a dogfight. So I'm expecting next week, rain or shine, it's going to be an awesome race. But tonight was awesome. Thanks for letting me join you up here in the booth.
Yep, it was a good time. Thank you for joining. Great race as always here in Endurance for Amateurs. And if you're here to watch some more, same time next week, we'll have that Interlagos race as we are coming to the twilight races of the season with just 3 races remaining, Interlagos, Le Mans, and Watkins Glen. So be here next week, same time for that action. And everyone, have a good night.